Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ronin's Den. It has been a hot minute since we have done some Fabula Ultima content. As always, I am joined by my co host, Steve. And tonight we're going to be looking at another one of the classes from Fabula Ultima. We're moving squarely into the techno fantasy book. And the class that we are going to be looking at today is going to be the Esper. Steve, what do you think about the Esper?
Think it's confusing and it's not anything that I would ever use. Uh, I get what they're going for. They're going for like that person that uses their mental powers to increase and enhance their abilities. But I don't know. It just doesn't jive with me. We'll see how it works and how it looks. Not saying it's bad, just not something I would ever be interested in.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you on that one. One of the skills, which we'll dive into here in just a minute, was a little confusing to read at first, and it didn't do what I was hoping for on the first read. I was kind of hoping this would be like the Jedi class that Fabula Ultima was bringing in, but it's not that. It's something different. And it's not bad, but it's not what I was looking for. Anyway, the free benefits of the Esper is a permanent increase to your mind points by 5. Now, the first skill, which has 5 ranks that you can take, is going to be called Cognitive Focus. With the skill, at the start of your turn during a conflict, you may choose one ally who is able to hear you or one enemy that can be seen and is suffering from dazed, enraged, and or shaken. Until the start of your next turn, that chosen creature becomes your focus. You gain a bonus equal to skill level to checks that you perform to examine your focus, as well as to your accuracy checks and magic checks for attacks and offensive spells that include your focus among the targets. When you cause your focus to recover hit points or mind points, they recover skill level times 2 additional HP or MP, respectively. Um, I this is gonna be something. I don't think that the Esper actually has a bread and butter skill. This is one of the more straightforward skills that they have, and I can see this being a nice additional thing for maybe like a healer or like a blast damage caster, where you can get that extra damage out, or the healer can provide some additional hit points. But I mean, what do you think?
It's a good it can give you a little bit extra damage or a little bit better on your accuracy to your attacks and your spells. It can give you a little bit better healing and mind point recovery to a person that you focus on. Once again, it's kind of an addition. Like you said, I don't think I would ever pick this as my main focus, but it's not a bad skill. It's just not wowing me.
Yeah.
The next skill is hypercognition. The total MP cost of your spells and verses from the singer from the High Fantasy Atlas that includes your focus among their targets is reduced by skill level or by skill level times 2 if your focus is the only target to a minimum cost of 0 mind points. So essentially, if you're focused on someone and you're going to cast spells on them or use a verse on them, it just costs less mind points, which is a good thing. That's very beneficial to not have to spend as many mind points on something. So just a good skill.
Yeah, you know what? Now this makes me like cognitive focus a bit better as a skill, because you need to have that focus on. So maybe cognitive focus is the bread and butter skill for this class. But being able to reduce your mind points to a minimum cost of 0 is bonkers. Especially if you have a healer. Like, how many times would it have been a good thing for Celine not to have spent mind points, or me when we were doing those double damage Arcanum. Oh wait, Arcanums wouldn't be counted under this. But I mean, still, Celine throwing heals.
Yeah, it's a pretty good skill.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just I don't like that it's so much to get to the point where it's useful.
yeah. The next skill is Navigator. This is a one and done. You can communicate telepathically with any conscious ally within one travel day of you. You will be able to hear each other for the sake of the skill's effects. You gain the ability to perform rituals of the ritualism discipline. That's always handy having rituals. Additionally, you may use ritualism to transport creatures in and out of the soul network and to gain information and track entities while inside the soul network. Soul network's kind of like their ley line system in Fabula Ultima. Is, I guess, a good way to communicate what that is. The River of Souls is what they call it in the core book and the high fantasy and natural fantasy. But since we're in techno, they changed it up to be a techno term for Soul Network. This is a good utility skill for those campaigns where people are spread out or you want to talk to somebody back in town, but you're a travel day away from them. Very situational. Going to really depend on the type of game you're running and playing in.
Yeah, it's one of those skills that it's more flavor than anything. Being able to communicate someone to within a travel day could be nice if you have someone who's better at sneaking to get into somewhere and then be able to teleport everyone to them one at a time, essentially is what it does. So it's very situational, and for only one skill point to be able to do that and to get the ritualism discipline, which we all know rituals can be quite effective and helpful, it's not bad. That is a pretty decent skill, but it is more on the flavor side than anything.
Yeah.
The next skill that we're going to look at is Psychic Gifts. And this is the one that I think they intended to be the bread and butter. Each time you take this skill, you gain a gift. The rules for gifts and for the brainwave clock can be found on the next page, which once we're done with the skills, we will go into. But essentially, the gifts are just added mental abilities that you can use. And they're kind of underwhelming compared to what we thought they would be.
Yeah, we'll go into this one in detail at the end of the video. We only have one last skill to get through, and that's Psychokinesis. When you perform an accuracy check, you may replace one of the attribute dice with willpower, such as Dex plus willpower for a short bow. Additionally, your melee attacks with weapons belonging to the arcane or sword category may target flying creatures. Now, this is a very handy skill. Especially if you set your character up for willpower to be one of your large dice, depending on which of the 3 dice loadouts you go with. If you're mixing this class with a spellcaster, you're typically going to have a high willpower. So you're going to pick weapons that have willpower already part of that. You can double up willpower and have a much easier time hitting your targets. And then being able to hit flying targets with a melee weapon, that's the super handy part of this skill, because the way flying works in this game is you cannot hit a flying enemy or guard. I don't think you can guard against flying enemies either if you don't have flying or some ranged weapon. So flying can be a bit of an overpowered ability to use and have to be defending against at times.
Yeah, this is just a really good skill. This is what, if you're a mage and you want to be kind of that like sword wielding caster person, this is almost you gotta take this kind of skill, right? Being able to add willpower to your weapon damage, being able to hit flying creatures. Honestly, there's no negative to this one at all. At all.
No, I mean, I think it's Spellblade allows you to use Insight as trade out one of your skills as Insight.
Yeah.
So you combine Spellblade with Psychokinesis, and you're using your best stats as a mage to do melee attacks and hit flying enemies, I mean, yeah.
And now we're going to go into the psychic gifts and how those work. Using a gift. Gifts can be used when specific events take place. When this happens, you may spend an amount of mind points equal to the number of filled sections in your brainwave clock multiplied by 5 to a minimum of 5 mind points in order to apply the effects. Caveats: you may only use a single gift per event. If a gift causes HP or MP recovery, or if it causes MP loss, the amounts increase by 10 if you are level 20 or higher, or by 20 if you are level 40 or higher. Essentially, what this is saying is each gift is going to have a trigger. When that trigger is met, you spend the mind points. That is equal to the clock, which Eric will go over here in a second, times 5. Essentially, the more you use your gifts, the more mind points you have to spend, because it is displaying the strain that the gifts have on your mind. The more you use your powers, the more weak and fatigued you get, so the more mind points it costs.
Yes. And while I'm doing this brainwave clock part, could you pull up the brain wave discharge heroic skill and grab the page number for that?
Absolutely.
So the brainwave clock, it's a clock system. So this is going to have your 4 sections, and each time that one of your triggers takes effect, like it was set up above, you're going to fill in one of those slots. So when your brainwave clock has 4 sections, it has 4 sections, and it begins each scene empty. So when you get into a combat, your brainwave clock is going to be empty. After you resolve one of your gifts, you get to fill one section of your brainwave clock. You do so after the effects of the gift have been calculated and applied. So just for ease, because we have 2 gifts on screen right now, Atmokinesis, the event is when you deal damage. That damage becomes air or bolt, and its source deals extra damage equal to 2 plus the number of filled sections on the brainwave clock. Your brainwave clock determines your gift's cost in mind points, as well as their effectiveness. See above. You can still use your gifts when the brainwave clock is full. Sections of your brainwave clock may not be filled in any other way than described above, and they may only be erased through the use of the brainwave discharge heroic skill. See page 171, or through effects that expressly influence the brainwave clock.
So, on page 171, a heroic skill is whenever you reach 10th level in one of your classes. You get your class skill, as well as you get to pick a heroic skill, which is a very powerful capstone skill for your class. We will have a video on this in the future. But the brainwave discharge, the requirements is you must have mastered the Esper class. While your brainwave clock is full, you may use an action to erase all of its sections. If you do, you may choose one option. You may deal 20 physical damage to every enemy that is present on the scene, or you may deal 30 physical damage to a single enemy that you can see. The amount increases by 10 if you are level 20, or by 20 if you are level 40. So essentially, the discharge, once you've got all this psychic energy in your mind, you can just burst out and do a bunch of damage. So that's not really a lot of damage output for a heroic skill. So I don't know that I would pick it even if I was an Esper. But all in all, yeah, I don't find the Esper to be that exciting of a class. I'm sure that there are people watching that will find it to be very exciting and think all of this sounds cool. And to you guys, awesome. I think it's a great thing. But that's kind of my final thoughts. I think it has a couple of unique skills. I don't think it's bad. I think it could be fun for the right person, but it's just not my cup of tea.
I'm kind of on the same page with you on that one. I could see a couple of the skills being a nice addition to some builds. I don't think that those skills are necessarily better than other options that exist in other books. The brainwave discharge is a bit underwhelming considering your typical arcanum is going to do at least 30 points of damage on a dismissal. Now, the fact that you're not spending any mind points to do that quick damage is a bit of a benefit, but I mean, all in all, this wasn't what I was looking for with a psychic type class myself. I wanted something a little bit more Jedi coded, and I don't really know what this is trying to, like, what character this is trying to emulate from the JRPG scene. But that's the Esper. We're going to finish off our run through Techno Fantasy on classes, and we're going to do the natural fantasy ones. We got the memento spheres and transforming weapons we're still going to be looking at. But Steve, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. As always, thank you for watching. I'm Steve. That's Eric. We have a schedule that we're trying to get put together for next year to be a little more consistent. We're going to do character builds and various things. I know that we keep promising that, and they will eventually come. It's just been a hectic year. Hopefully next year is not as hectic as this one, but we will get there. If you could hit the like, share, and subscribe button, that would mean the world to us. It helps our channel grow and helps us get more videos out to you. And as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.